Imagine spending over 30 years loving and cohabitating with the same person. Children, laughter, and countless public appearances all contribute to the idea that the most effective way for you to communicate with each other would be through silence rather than words. We'll be delving into the sad confession made by actor Mark Conwells. Today, he has openly expressed how Kelly Ripa's silence at the most important time broke his heart. What could possibly break a man who was so strong and devoted? I'm going to tell you a story that will shock you, but it will also teach you a valuable lesson about communication, love, and how to keep going when you're damaged. So, pay attention. While filming All My Children in the 1990s, Mark and Kelly started their journey together. For many of us, those were the years when we watched favorite characters and plots develop on our television screens while enthralled in daytime operas. Mark and Kelly were more complex than they first appeared to be, as if they were sparks waiting to catch fire. The contrived romance soon gave way to the real thing because of their obvious chemistry. They fell in love quickly and passionately, and they were able to develop something real in spite of Hollywood's notorious breakup culture. They engaged in a dangerous and passionate affair before secretly getting married in Las Vegas in 1996. Their love story served as motivation for fans, demonstrating that genuine love could withstand the pressure of the public eye. But beneath the surface of every great love story were subtle challenges. The world thought Kelly and Mark were untouchable. She became America's morning darling, inspiring and enchanting millions of people each morning. He looks like a smoldering, intense actor while juggling work and family obligations. Together, they raised 3 children and supported each other's careers, creating an image of impenetrable partnership. However, as Mark has acknowledged, there were shortcomings that were hidden from the general public. The characteristics of fame include pressure, separation, and ongoing demands. Mark was never one to keep a low profile. Kelly would sometimes choose to be quiet at home, despite the fact that she was always moving around in her roles. According to Mark, a single minute of silence crushed him in ways he could never have predicted. It's preferable not to say certain things. For many couples, disagreements are a common part of communication. However, when someone you care about chooses not to speak or communicate, it can be like being locked out of your own home. Mark claimed that at a difficult time in their marriage, Kelly stopped talking to him. For what seemed like an eternity rather than a few minutes or an evening, he was depressed, lonely, and rejected. This place showed no signs of peace. It was swallowed up by the silence of space. The silent separation between them was unbearable to Mark, whose very existence depended on his loyalty and dedication. Mark acknowledged that one evening when he got home after a long day, the silence was at its worst. Kelly would probably ask him about his job or share a tale about the show if she were to approach him. Later on in the evening, nothing occurred. No one was making eye contact, no one was talking, and the silence gripped the room in the midst of an impending storm. He hoped to wait on the other side of her. But the longer the silence lasted, the smaller he felt. He realized then that love doesn't always have to end in conflict. Sometimes it cracks under the weight of unsaid words. "I felt broken," admitted Mark. This was his lowest point, even though he was typically a robust, gregarious, and resilient man. But this is where the unexpected happens. Mark chose to embrace his pain instead of giving up or fleeing. He asked himself introspectively, what brought them here? Why hadn't Kelly said anything? More important, how could he bridge the distance? Anyone who has ever been in a relationship knows all too well the weight of quiet. Mark's decision can serve as an example for many of us. He opted for humility rather than conceit. In contrast, Kelly Ripa has admitted in earlier interviews that she sometimes withdraws when she feels overburdened. She likes making jokes about being a quiet fighter in their marriage and the one who takes her time to voice her opinions. Fans may find it harmless, but her husband, who finds his power in discussion, found her completely silent. Mark's willingness to discuss how much it hurt tells a lot about him. Even the strongest partnerships have vulnerabilities. Why does the story have such deep meaning? It can't be just about Mark and Kelly. It's for everyone who has ever felt ignored, undervalued, or unheard in a relationship. When it comes to our loved ones, whether they be family, friends, or even our own children, silence can cause more pain than words. Mark's honesty demonstrates that love isn't about completely avoiding challenges. The emphasis is on what we do when things get tough. Not all couples in the entertainment world are as glamorous as others. For many years, Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos, one of Hollywood's most beloved couples, have been admired. People of all ages have been impacted by their love story, chemistry, and clever banter. Beneath the happiness and glitter, there are painful times that are rarely visible to outsiders. Mark Consuelos has openly discussed his agonizing experience of being affected by Kelly Ripa's silence in ways he never could have predicted. A romance is luminous because of their work on Oh My Children. Kelly and Mark's relationship took off in the 1990s. Following their frenzied courtship, they were secretly married in Las Vegas in 1996 and have been together ever since. Together, they had 3 kids, handled their careers well, and continued to prove to the public that love can last in the entertainment business. Through interviews, social media posts, and their time together hosting Live with Kelly and Mark, fans have seen them laugh, joke around, and support each other. That's why Mark's recent disclosure about the consequences of Kelly's silence was such a heartbreaking blow. A silent voice that makes a big statement. During a particularly trying time in their marriage, Mark disclosed that he was more affected by Kelly's silence than by her words. Squabbles and disagreements are inevitable in any relationship, but when Kelly abruptly stopped answering, his worries were eased. It wasn't the shouting or the arguments, Mark said plainly. The secret was the silence. Kelly cutting off all communication broke my heart. That silence was more deafening than anything I had ever heard. His comments struck a chord because many of his listeners could identify with the devastation that silence can cause in a relationship. For Mark, who has always valued open communication with his wife, Kelly's quiet retreat was almost unbearable. From Kelly's perspective, while Mark discussed how the silence hurt him, friends of the couple informed him that Kelly needed time at the moment. For someone whose life is continuously recorded and examined, quiet times could be a much-needed reprieve. One report acclaims that Kelly had no intention to hurt Mark. She used silence as a coping strategy while she dealt with her emotions, but there was an emotional gap between them because of the uneasy quiet she kept. A crucial point during that time of silence, their relationship deteriorated. Instead of allowing the distance to widen, Mark decided to confront his suffering and defend their relationship. He told Kelly how much her lack of reaction undermined his sense of self-absorption. Even though the chat was challenging, it was a way to reestablish contact. I came to the realization that I needed to show my vulnerability, Mark said. I couldn't pretend to be strong when I obviously wasn't. Kelly ought to have realized how much her silence impacted him. On the other hand, Kelly affirmed the impact and promised him her unwavering loyalty. They made a commitment to continue improving their communication even at their darkest moments. Supporters' reaction. Following Mark's emotional disclosure, a large number of fans flocked to social media to show their support and condolences. Many couples could identify with Mark's candor when he was asked about the painful experience of silence in relationships. Some even claimed that it encouraged them to discuss their own issues. One advocate asserts that the power of silence outweighs that of words. Thank you for being so open about an issue that many of us encounter. Another person said, this has increased my respect for Kelly and Mark even more. They're real. Don't be fooled. Lessons in strength and love. No relationship is perfect, as demonstrated by the fact that Mark and Kelly had to endure everything together. Despite being misunderstood most of the time, silence has tremendous power. Kelly and Mark experienced sadness and personal growth as a result of their breakup. What truly makes a marriage strong in love is not never arguing or disagreeing, but finding a way to return to one another when words fail. Their journey is an example of this. By sharing their experiences, they show their fans that being open and honest can help them heal, moving forward harmoniously. Compared to earlier, Kelly and Mark seem closer than before. They continue to care for their family, work together, and express their love for one another. Their smiles hide a story of forbearance, resilience, and the ability to turn distance into closeness. Although it was devastating, Mark's comment about Kelly's silence also showed how close they were. Silence had broken him, but love had rebuilt him. This gave their relationship a new dimension.